I was getting ready to settle in and just watch some TV, and then I got a call from Sam, and he asked, "Who's your doctor?" I told him who I saw, and then he asked, "Are they accepting any new patients?" I told him probably, but what happened with your doctor? Well, I got kicked out, he said. How in the hell did you get kicked out of your doctor's office? And Sam said, "Well, it's a long story." And I replied back, "I've got plenty of time." And so he began. Well, last week, I went to the bathroom for my quiet time. I said, "Quiet time?" Number two. It wasn't moving much, so I played a game on my phone until it was ready. I guess I'd been in there for a while because Cindy kept knocking on the door and was asking when I'd be done. And she kept reminding me to spray extra. I don't know. I guess I'm not a very good sprayer. So it was time to get things moving. I gave it a good push, but nothing happened. I tried it again, but still nothing. So I took a real big deep breath and gave it a good push. Finally, there was some movement, but it really, really hurt. It felt like thumbtacks right up my ass. This thing was stuck in there and it was either too big to push out or it came out sideways. I called out for Cindy and she came into the door, but she would not open it. I told her to come in and I need her help. She said, "No way am I coming in there." I yelled out, "My poop is stuck and it won't come out and I think I'm ripping my ass open." Cindy yelled back, "Hey, what do you want me to do?" I said, "I don't know, come hold my hand or something. I don't know, but I need some help." And basically, she said, "Well, I'm not coming in there, so you're going to need to figure this out." She said, "So, if I was a woman, someone would be rushing me right to the hospital. I'd get a wheelchair and I'd be pushed past all the others. I'd have nurses and doctors giving me all their attention. They'd give me stuff for the pain, put on my favorite TV shows until it was time. Then they would take one of those vacuums so they'd suck it right out. But since I'm a man, I've got to do it myself." Sam listened for the response, but he wasn't hearing anything. "Cindy, did you hear me?" he asked. Still nothing. So he called her cell phone, and she answered. "Hey, didn't you hear anything I just said?" And she said, "Yeah, I heard plenty." And then I asked, "So you're not going to help? Why would anybody help you after the comments you just made about women? Can you at least give me a spoon? Like maybe one of those wooden ones?" Cindy hung up the phone. I was left alone. I was going to have to find a way to do this on my own. I took a huge breath and pushed as hard as I could. There was a little bit of movement, but not enough, and it was still ripping my ass right apart. I took another huge breath and pushed as hard as I possibly could. Sweat was pouring down my face. I was shaking, and the pain was unbearable. But finally, I heard a splash. I've never felt pain like this in my whole life. It was like I was getting pushed out 1,000 thumbtacks right on my ass. I couldn't wait to get a picture of this turd. I knew it was at least the size of a grapefruit. I stood up and was shocked at what I saw in the toilet. It wasn't much bigger than a little strawberry. Then there were drops of blood, so I knew I did damage something. I cleaned up and sprayed a half bottle of air freshener all over the place. I took 2 steps and slipped and fell, knocking my head. I guess I used a little too much, I thought to myself. I got back to my feet and waddled out of my room. The pain in my ass was so bad I couldn't even walk. Finally, I laid on the side of my bed and called out to Cindy again. I asked her to call my doctor and make an appointment for today. She came back in the room. "Your doctor isn't in today, but they do have a couple options. Uh, you can see Dr. Lucy at 12, or you can see Dr. Frank at 3. I said, "Dr. Frank, definitely." Cindy replied, "Have you seen Dr. Frank before?" He said, "Yeah, I sure did." And Cindy walked out. Well, that was just a big old lie, I told her. I don't trust women doctors. Uh, I think all they do is they're just giving straight A's because they're women. I stopped them right there. You don't honestly think that, do you? He said, well, it's just a feeling I have. I said to him, some of the most brilliant doctors are women. Well, I've never met any. I said, just go on with your story. I said it was clear this was going nowhere. So Sam continued. So we arrived at the doctor's office. Sydney went to the counter to check me in and went to take a seat. I sat down somehow, forgetting about my ass, and jumped right up screaming. I yelled out, fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! People moved to the other side of the room, and as far as away they could be from me. Cindy yelled at me to stop embarrassing her from the front counter. But I sat back down again and unfortunately did the exact same thing. I jumped right back up screaming, hot lava up my ass! Hot lava up my ass! Cindy yelled at me again. A few patients actually just left. This time a woman came over and got right in front of me. You're in a doctor's office. This is inappropriate behavior and it will not be tolerated here. She said. I interrupted Sam. So that's why you got thrown out? No, 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 no. No, there's more. Sam continued his story. A nurse arrived shortly after and brought me down the hall to Dr. Frank's office. Cindy stayed in the waiting room. The nurse started asking me some questions. Can you tell me what occurred? And I answered, I'd rather discuss it with the doctor. It's kind of personal. So the nurse said to me, hey, I understand your concerns. I just need to gather some info so I can give to the doctor all the details. Well, I took a dump that was the size of a pineapple and blew my ass apart. Does that help? She said, so you had a bowel movement and felt pain after? She asked, the size of a pineapple? Yes. Sam, I'm just looking for the most accurate information as possible for your records. Well, it was huge. The nurse got up and began walking out. She said, the doctor will be in shortly. So I asked Sam, I said, so it sounds like you had a problem with nurses too? I put band-aids on myself. I don't go around calling myself a nurse, he replied. I shook my head and just let him continue. So things really took a turn for the worse when another woman walked in. And I immediately said, I've already seen the nurse, just waiting on the doctor now. You can go. Then she closed the door. I'm Dr. Frank. My stomach felt sick immediately. She said, so tell me what's going on. I sat there in dead silence. She started looking at my file on her computer. So you had a bowel movement and felt pain after? And I said, I crapped out an entire watermelon. I'm sure you know what that's like, having a baby or two. But a watermelon is bigger, and I had no one helping me. That seemed to hit a sore spot. She stood up and got right in front of me. I will not tolerate your disrespectful comments. I've had two complaints about you already now, and now I understand why. She continued, so drop the rude and inappropriate comments so I can get you treated and get you on your way home. She waited for a response, but Sam didn't reply this time. She opened up a drawer and placed a hospital gown on the bed. Remove all of your clothing and get into your gown. Opening needs to be in the back. Sam immediately replied, for what? She said, so I can take a look at your anus and see what's going on. Yeah, no thanks. I'll just take some pills instead. You can't be prescribed anything until I've looked at the area. Before I could even say anything, she left the room. This was probably the worst day I've ever had, and it's not even over. So I finally got undressed and into the gown. She knocked and opened the door, and she came in with a whole nother woman. This is my assistant Joanne, she said. She'll be observing. Please roll on the table from us and bend your knees. I said to myself, this is not happening. I made it through my entire life so far without anyone looking at my dirty asshole. But today, two women are going to. I followed the instructions. I rolled over and bent my knees. I heard the snap of gloves being put on, so I knew something bad was going to happen. Then I felt it, the spreading of my ass cheeks. It was very, very painful. Then she started feeling around, which hurt even worse. So all of a sudden, it was starting to stir up a problem. I felt a massive fart coming. I held it in as hard as I could with all my might, but finally it escaped. It was so loud, Cindy told me later on that she actually heard it in the waiting room. Dr. Frank and Joanne jumped back, covering their mouth. I noticed Dr. Frank's eyeglasses were turned sideways. What is wrong with you? Dr. Frank yelled. I said, you're playing around with a loaded weapon. What do you think's going to happen? That is it. This is not happening again. Do you understand? I didn't even mean it, but I also knew that they weren't going to believe me anyway. I stayed still and let them start again. I heard some oh my's and wows. Then I started hearing different voices. I listened closer, and I knew I was hearing different people. I turned my head as hard as I could, and I saw several different people suddenly in the room looking at my ass. So I said, hey, who the hell are those people? I yelled out. Well, today we had a group from a local medical school who are here today to simply observe. So you thought they should all come here and look at my ass? Dr. Frank announced that everyone can just leave now. You can roll back now, she said. So now it's just you and me. Tell me what really happened. He said, I did. Listen, you have large anal fissures in your rectum. This is very uncommon from what I've seen. It came from some sort of object. Said, are you trying to say that I'm shoving things up my ass? Dr. Frank said, can you just tell me what happened so we can figure this out? And I said, I already told you. I pushed out a turd the size of a freaking human being. So Dr. Frank knew she wasn't getting anywhere. So then she finally asked, so what did you eat prior to this event? And I said, I had some roasted peanuts. How many? She asked. I don't know, a bunch, I told her. Can you be more specific and tell me how many? I had a half a bag at lunch and I had the rest for dinner. So all you had yesterday is an entire bag of roasted peanuts? Yeah, well, it's the shells that really fill me up, you know? And then I interrupted, hold on a second. You ate an entire bag of roasted peanuts, including the shell? Sam said, yeah, I usually have, a half bag, but I didn't feel like making anything last night. So I said to Sam, so you harassed multiple women over something you did to yourself? Yeah, well, I guess that's how they saw it too. After I told her that, the appointment was suddenly just over. I went to the front counter and was handed a referral. I looked at it quickly and handed it to Cindy. She told me I was referred to a pediatrician or something, which then I found out it was for kids. So that's why I'm calling. So, anyways, hey, is your doctor a man?